Hello, my friend. I am coming on today because during my morning practice, as I sat in the emptiness of my sitting practice, a transmission arose that I wanted to pass along, which has to do with the path of mastering our bullshit, and which has to do with the incredible humility that is engendered in the path of mastering our bullshit. Because despite all of the salt and vinegar of no bullshit communication, it is some noble shit. And it is a path of true humility, which I am coming to understand more and more, that true humility is a radical divestment of my energy from managing other people's perceptions and behaviors, and instead investing fully in being in impeccable integrity with the current of life. And so in my humility, I am so much more concerned with how impeccably I am showing up to whatever arises in my field than I am with trying to manage those things and people outside of myself. And over the years, I've been studying this path of mastering my bullshit. And I have been graced with an incredible amount of bullshit in my life to master. But the path of mastering our bullshit starts with a humble acknowledgement that I am trained and have become habituated to a pattern of projecting my bullshit, of demand bullshit, of avoidant bullshit, of reactive bullshit, and of victim bullshit. It's a humble acknowledgement that these things are present in me, and that my journey is about actually identifying these things which stand between myself and the fullest embodiment of the simple truth of love. And they stand between myself and any other human being to the extent that they are present. And so the path of mastering our bullshit is a path of becoming impeccable with the current of life, which is this exquisite paradox of embracing radical sovereignty, complete responsibility for my experience, for my feelings, for my thoughts, for my conduct, and even for the impact of my actions on the current of life, while also being totally surrendered in my interdependence, knowing that nothing that I have in front of me could I have made with my own hands on my own, that all of it comes in some way from somewhere else, from someone else, that I am exquisitely dependent upon my community and the systems that support me. And so I am a participant in those systems in the most sovereign, respectful, and impeccable way that I can be. And so when I created this digital training, which is an introduction to the art of no bullshit communication, which is an introduction to looking at the ways that these forms of bullshit that we've inherited, these ways of conducting ourselves that have been trained into us, are causing damage and harm in our most intimate relationships, starting with ourselves and our capacity to imagine vividly and welcome into being the most beautiful worlds our hearts know is possible. And of course, ripples out in concentric ripples of relationship and connection and in the network of my community. And how I can start to choose to operate in a different way in my relationships, in my communication processes, when I am noticing and more aware of the tendencies to cause a sense of separation, and can instead have strategies and tools and practices for bringing my words in alignment with my truth, with my direct experience, with my needs and emotions, with the incredible power of my vulnerability and honesty. And knowing that I build my world from inside out as I conduct myself with my thoughts, emotions, in my body, with my words and my actions. And as I set out to create the Shift Happens digital training, I really, truly wanted to introduce people to this path, mostly so that we could share a language and go deeper together. And that is why very soon I will be offering, with the companionship and partnership of my beloved partner, Lillian Love, a container that will meet once every 2 weeks, twice a month, called DEEPER, a dojo of alchemical intimacy. And whether you are in relationship, longing for a relationship, or happily rolling solo, this will be a beautiful practice space for practicing. It's a dojo. It's a place to work through the practices of identifying and becoming more and more congruent with the practices of speaking our observations clearly, of expressing our feelings and connecting them to a need that we have. The practice of asking for precisely what we want and then welcoming life to deliver us exactly what it wants to give, which is implicitly a powerful and profound respect for consent and the sovereignty of myself and every other being. And these cultivations require community and practice. We are seeing the awakening, the activation of the path of awakening through intimacy. We are coming out of the monasteries with our spiritual practice and coming into devoted, loving relationship, in partnership, in community, in business. And this fractal of connection and network expands outward vastly from there. And I believe that it is in the mastery of these tools, in the mastery of our capacity to take ownership of our experience, to express it clearly, to listen deeply to the experience of others with empathy and understanding, and through the humility to be on the path of mastery. Even if somebody calls us a master, only somebody who's been called a master really knows how far they still have to go. And it is a truly humbling thing. Not that I've been called a master. But I would be so excited to share this container with you. I would be so excited to share the art of humility with you through the practice of no bullshit communication on the path of mastering our bullshit so as to become a clearer and clearer vessel for the simple truth of love to express itself in every action, in every word, in every gesture, in every thought. Because this is the opportunity that we have at this time, with vast pressures mounting globally in so many levels and systems of our world. And this is what we're being called into a radical and humble path of walking in integrity with the current of life. And so, without saying too much more, I will say that I still have a few copies of the Shift Happens digital training to give away. I've given away about 18 copies of it so far, and I have 4 more copies that I would like to give. And I also have infinite copies to sell at right now only $44, which is a third of the ultimate cost of this training. But I am wanting to create a container where everyone in that container has already downloaded the basics of this program. Internally, you've got a sense of what projection bullshit and reactive bullshit and demand bullshit and avoidant bullshit and victim bullshit is, and what the exquisite alternatives are that we get to practice. So you come into the container of the DEEPER Dojo ready to practice. And there will always be a teaching component, and there will be a great emphasis on practicing breath work and attunements and dyads and triads and intimate encounters, which will help us to peel off the armor and the layers of hiding that we have inherited more and more easily and fully, so that we can walk in the world completely transparent. And in that transparency lies our most vulnerable and beautiful power. So if any of this interests you, I would ask you to take a moment and reach out to me, or share this video and tag 5 friends, and jump on to masteryourbullshit.com and sign up for my email list. And you'll start getting some exquisite emails, little reminders in your inbox about the path of peace and the way of mastering our bullshit. And be looking out in late October for the first DEEPER Dojo gathering that we will have virtually. And thank you for listening. I hope this has nourished you in some way, and I look forward to hearing from you very soon. Be well.